And we're live. Hi, this is Michael from the Easy Path Project, and we're back for another discussion on inner game. Tonight it's going to be a good one, so strap yourself in and get ready. It's going to be fun. Tonight we are going to be talking about let's see, maybe there we go. How's that sound? Okay. Are you feeling awkward around? Are you feeling awkward around women? A simple shift can change everything. So for the last couple nights, I've been giving you like a background and theory and some ideas of how you're going to be able to apply what I teach here at the Easy Path Project about the comfortable, easy ways to improve your inner game. I don't think anything that you do as far as dating or trying to form relationships or personal development or whatever, it's like it all starts with your inner game. It's all about who you are and who you really are. And so that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. So is social anxiety stopping you from forming meaningful connections? One of the things I've been discussing for the last couple nights is just how we are so into our own heads, like that we just we're not functioning correctly. We don't actually see reality as, because we're looking through a lens that's like basically dirty. Instead of you seeing things clearly, you see them through a lens of, your past rejections or your past hurts or your past failures or your insecurities or all of these different things. And once you get beyond that and you start to remove these layers of crap, it's going to be a lot easier for you to expose like who you really are. And that's when you'll find that people respond to you. People respond to you significantly better over time. The more you become like the authentic you, and that you express yourself and you interact with other people as yourself. When they talk about be yourself, there's a lot of talk about that, but it really gets to the bottom line is that you've cleared away the things that make you less than a desirable person or less than attractive or less than anything. It's like you just need to start swishing that stuff away. Like you just need a broom, like a psychic broom, and just swish, swish, swish. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is eliminating social anxiety by working on your inner game. And what if improving your mindset could instantly boost your confidence in every social interaction? That's one of the things that I keep hammering on about the exponential growth theory that I have, is that each step, each little tiny incremental improvement that you make, they're all going to accumulate, and it's going to present itself in how you present yourself to the world. Like like if you have a situation where you feel deficient in some way and you start to improve that so you feel less deficient, like it's a fact that you're going to feel better. And then as you go through your life and you feel better, you're going to treat other people better, or you're going to demonstrate your fulfillment and your happiness or whatever, your contentment, and they're going to feel it. And that's one of the sad things about life, is that so many people are just stuck in their head. And so there really is a shortage of of goodwill or cheer or whatever. And so like if you are a pleasant person. So when you come around, like the mood lightens or people feel better. I mean, that's um, a characteristic that you would want um, to possess and to enhance. And so that's really what we're talking about here is like get your mindset under control, start to feel better about yourself, and start having better interactions. And that's tonight what we're going to talk about is small tweaks, little shifts in your understanding and the shifts in the way that you think about these particular situations. We're going to have, I believe I've written down 8 things tonight, and there are 8 common situations like, how do I feel or how do I stop feeling disappointed, or how do I deal with apps and all of the competition and all those things. These are the kind of things that that come up every single day, and people stumble over them. And I think I've got some ideas here, and I've actually made like highlights with a highlighter. So I'm going to make certain that I say these things tonight so that you understand exactly what we're talking about. So without further ado, except for there's one more ado. Tonight's live stream is going to be called Inner Game Impact. I'm going to give you 8 questions that a young man or a man would ask about relationship or dating situations, and what's my opinion, and what I suggest, and how you can think about it so that you can, if you're in a situation where you come across one of these, then you can apply them and move on down the road. You've got much cooler things to deal with than these situations. Okay, but like I mentioned, this is a live stream. Tonight I actually started at 7:30, and so that's what we're going to try to do is each weeknight, around 7:30 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to have a live stream, and hopefully people will show up and start to interact with me and start to share their stories and start to ask some questions, and we can get a conversation going, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But until that time, it's going to be a couple more weeks of me talking into the camera and giving you these little slideshows, teaching YouTube what my channel is about, and hopefully maybe giving you some ideas, some things that you can implement in your life and make things better. Oh, and also I've made a playlist. So each night when I have a live stream, it's saved to a playlist. So even if you miss the live stream itself, you can still go back and catch the replays in the live stream playlist. Okay. Are you excited? Question number 1. How do I stop feeling so disappointed or taking it personally when someone I like isn't interested or ghosts me? One thing that's really common. And so like if you have a situation where you're getting bent out of shape over something like that, I mean, it's just like, that you get bummed out by a cloudy day or rain or whatever. I mean, it's just like it's so common now. I hear it everywhere. I'm actually, unfortunately, guilty of it myself. I've ghosted people in situations. One of the things you have to think about, and we're going to talk about this in the future, that other people have considerations also. It's not just you. It's just not you wanting that person, and therefore they're just going to be receptive. It's a situation where they maybe have their own considerations, and one of those considerations is that if there is not a fit, so like if you had a date or something, and she didn't show up, or she didn't return a call, or do whatever. I mean, there's a million little ways that could take place, but it's mostly just having an opportunity to avoid a difficult situation. There's really no telling how somebody's going to react or what they're going to say. And if you're not into having those kind of conversations, or you don't feel comfortable, it's easier just to ghost somebody. And we're going to talk about apps and some of the questions that come up about apps in the next question. But one of the things that women find when they go onto these dating apps is that they get just an incredible amount of attention. Like every single man on the app will contact her. And so it can be a situation where she's, chatting with you or whatever, and then suddenly, like, 6 other guys show up, and then she's like, well, instead of, sticking with this one guy, let me check out these other 6 guys and see how that goes. It's not cool, but I mean, that's the way it is. And but let's see what I wrote here. So the real, I like, okay, so the underlying thing. So it's not just this particular situation, but it's just like in general. It's like who you are and how you feel about yourself does not have anything to do in reality with other people or what their opinions are. First of all, most people are concerned about themselves, and so they don't spend a lot of time thinking about you. If they do think about you, they've used things that, shortcuts, like whatever they might think about you, they might think about it like in an abbreviated way, like it's not something they sit and spend a lot of time thinking about you. If you're like a person that spends a lot of time thinking, like inside your head, about how situations go, and we're also going to discuss that too, I promise. But if you're one of those people that like that ruminates or whatever, and just lets the ideas just circle and percolate in your head, sometimes situations like this take on greater meaning than you attach greater meaning to them than they actually are worth. I mean, like they don't. They're just not worth you're putting any effort into thinking about them. Once you feel confident about who you are and what you are, at that point, then you won't have to worry about how other people think. And one of the things that I wrote down in my notes, I had actually forgotten this, but it's an interesting way of thinking about how the focus shifts. So, when you feel insecure with yourself, sometimes the idea is that you try to prevent a situation, or you avoid a situation. But after you feel more confident and better about yourself, what you find is that the emphasis shifts from trying to prevent feeling bad to recovering from feeling bad, right? You're not going to prevent yourself from taking opportunities or pursuing I just froze up. I mean, this is a really easy thing to understand, right? So you've got like a situation where at one point you feel like, oh God, I gotta, I can't have this happen. But then once you've got like kind of like that muscle memory, like once you've been shot down 3 or 4 times, or you've broken up 3 or 4 times, or you got ghosted or dumped or whatever all these things are, it's like at a certain point you get a callous, you don't really feel the same. And then, okay, at that point, oh, well, I'm going to approach situations differently, more confidently. that might help, right? But then once you have approached these confidently, even in the event that it doesn't turn out like you hope, it's like, okay, well, I did try it. There's nothing to be lost by trying. And so you just heal from it, and quickly recover and move on. It's that simple. Yeah, so I wrote also that the question becomes more about emotional resilience than stopping the feelings. And we talked about the resilience tactics a great deal the other night. So if you haven't seen that, I think it's like the second live stream that I really talked about emotional resilience a lot. Okay, so what's the next question? Okay, how do I handle the feeling that I'm competing with countless other guys on apps, many who seem richer, better looking, or smoother? You don't. Like, unless you were like 6 foot tall, maybe make 100 grand a year and look like Brad Pitt 20 years ago or something. Like I just wouldn't even try to compete in that marketplace. You can't. Or I mean, you can, but I heard a really sobering statistic the other day. All these women on these apps go in and they set the filter to 6 foot. Well, like 87% of men in the United States are below 6 feet tall. It's like, so, but before you even like take the very first step, you're going to find that 87% of the girls will never see your profile. And that doesn't even, I was listening to a guy talk about that the other day about, how back in the day, like back in my day, for instance, you could date a really pretty girl locally because she dated from like, who was around. And there was no social media. There were no cell phones. There was just, who you knew and who your friends were friends with. And that's a social circle was a huge game back in the day. But nowadays, that same girl, might have 5,700 DMs from sheiks in Saudi Arabia or wherever on Instagram. And so, like, anything having to do with social or with dating apps or whatever, I think is a it's just like trying to go into a casino and win at a roulette or, I mean, it's just like it's almost a sucker's game. But I mean, there are some guys, I know some guys who have done really well on dating apps, and I salute them. But they've got things that are special about them that the average guy might not have. But that's not the answer that you're looking for. And like I've mentioned, I want all of these ideas that I share. So I have multiple levels that they help you on. So this idea of competing with people. Oh, and I'll give you real quick the idea how to circumvent the apps and the Instagrams and the Tinders and whatnot, and really actually meet girls and really like have a chance to have an opportunity to actually like get to know them and everything. And that's called going out into the world and going in person. Go to the gym, go to the coffee shop, go to a local baseball game or whatever. I mean, just wherever there's going to be people, and just get out, get amongst, and be social. I mean, I recall when I was a wee lad, my buddy's father had gotten divorced, and so he was getting back into the dating market at about age 50 or whatever. And he got out and found that it was just like this incredible situation that like he had more opportunities to date even than when he was young, and he was a good-looking young man. Like, but he even did better when he was older. The idea is, first of all, is that apps and whatnot are just for passing the time, or for stroking her ego, or doing whatever, or or whatever. But like, if you meet a girl, like, and you make eye contact across the room, or you strike up a conversation when you're buying some candy at the gas station or whatever, and that's real, like she's not going to have to sit there and scroll through an app or whatever. She's like got her synapses firing because you're directly in front of her. And so that's my tip, is to get out there and just say hello to people. Anyway, and there's even other aspects of it, right? So there's like 4.5 billion, I think I established the other night, 4.5 billion women. So there's like just this insane quantity. It's like, why would you have like this? I've heard the term one-itis. I guess that would work in this situation. Like, okay, well, it's the one girl at work, or the one girl at the coffee shop or whatever. And it's like, you just get fixed on that chick. Well, there's a whole bunch of other girls, and those girls are probably starved for attention, because if you've been paying any attention to social media recently, it's just flooded with videos by girls saying, "Oh, well, men don't approach us anymore. I don't know where to meet men. I'm miserable because I'm not dating, and nobody will pay any attention to me." And it's like, okay, well, a lot of guys have checked out, and a lot of guys tried to play the app game, and it's like, okay, well then, like the whole wide field, like all this opportunity is just sitting there right there for you, and you don't have to. You really don't have to put in a ton of effort. Like I said, if you just get like to be feeling cool and exuding cool, and then you suddenly are cool, and then you'll find people looking at you like, that guy must be cool. Because there's lots and lots of opportunities out there. I make all these notes, and then I sit there and go off the script. One of the other aspects of this to think about is that on the apps, I mean, there's really not an opportunity to get beyond the the surface level. Like, they look at what you look like, and maybe I don't know. I have not been on a dating app in forever, so I don't have any idea what they talk about, if they talk about money or jobs or whatever that that they might talk about. The idea is that you aren't your stuff. You're not really how you look. You're not how much money you make or what kind of education you have. There was that movie with Jack Nicholson called Anger Management, and he was asking another character to tell him who he was, and he started rattling off these things about, like, oh, I'm a banker or whatever. He's like, no, I'm not asking what you do, tell me who you are. And that's really what, like, even if you were like hot and made money and had a bunch of status, like, if you're not a cool dude, like, the chick might stick with you, but it's not like a fulfilling relationship. It's not like you're going to feel awesome about it. So really think more about, okay, well, I'm me. I'm a cool guy. There's lots of girls out there, and I'm going to find one, or a small harem of ones that really totally dig me. Okay, question number 3. What if I feel like I'm boring? How do I become a more interesting person to date? Well, I wrote down here that inner game finds validation internally. But the way that I would answer that is like, if you become a more interesting person, you know, you will become a more interesting person. It's like, I know it's ridiculous to think that you can just step into this situation where, you know, you can feel that way. So we'll do baby steps. We'll dip a toe. I mentioned the other night about the way that you can have a conversation, that you can simply, you know, ask leading questions. I mean, think of yourself like I think I used the other night was like an interviewer. Like, say you're interviewing someone, but don't be like 50 questions guy. Be like introspective questions guy. Okay, you know, ask a question, listen to her response. Okay, so she gives you a response. Don't be thinking about what you're going to say next. Just listen to what she says. If she says something that requires clarification, ask a follow-up question. Oh, well, what does that mean? Well, how does that make you feel? Oh, this is easy. And then at that point, listen some more. She'll tell you some more stuff, and then that'll give you more kind of handholds, more areas to be able to grasp the conversation and ask her. And at some points, you know, you might want to share some cool little stuff about yourself, or some things that you might think are interesting. Or sometimes you can even just make stuff up, and but you just make it outlandish. So you know, if she asks you some boring question like, "Oh, what do you do?" It's like, you know, I'm a cowboy or something, and I'm just in town for, or whatever. I mean, just some ridiculous story. And she's going to say, "Really?" And you're like, "No." And so then you know, she either laughs or she thinks you're retarded. And then you just keep going. Once again, like, you don't attach any value to any of this. Like, the idea is just to build rapport, to kind of get an idea, some insight into who she is. And, you know, once she starts to open up, I know I told the story about Jay Abraham the other night, where he spoke to a man in a hotel bar, and just asked questions, follow-up questions, clarified, and the guy thought he was an excellent conversationalist. I mean, it's a trick, right? I mean, but there's a million videos on YouTube or whatever about how to have a conversation, about how to listen, how to ask follow-up questions, how to encourage someone to tell you stuff that they care about. I mean, that's really, think about it. Like, if, and I'm not going to get into a white knight discussion. We're going to have our first white knight discussion next week. But if you think about like how a woman's life is, or whatever, like, especially like a woman that maybe has already graduated college or whatever, and she's got a job, and like, her life is basically taking care of crap and going to work, which is also its own form of crap. And so, like, it could be pretty boring or pretty unfulfilling or whatever. And so, if you come along and you make her feel better, I mean, just even the slightest little way, she's probably going to want you to stick around, give you more opportunities to make her feel better. I mean, you can get up all on some high horse and say that you're not going to do those kind of things, that you're going to be your own man and do things your way or whatever. Well, tell me how that works out for you in the meantime if you treat a woman a certain way so that she finds it pleasant and entertaining, and all the emotional things that she might feel from a person who pushes her buttons. Yeah, you're going to find that's a really pleasant thing, a nice place to be. And once again, the more buttons you push, the happier she's going to be. And a woman that's really happy to be in a relationship with you, I bet you'll find that to be something really special, like that you might want to look into that. Oh, before I finish that up, I did make another note here. Once again, like I get on these asides, but the idea is that you don't necessarily have to worry about being boring. Be into the stuff that you're into. Just own it. If you like Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, it's like most girls will not want to have a conversation about that. They don't want to hear about it. I mean, I don't know. I would tread lightly or whatever with that. But one of the girls that I went out with in high school was into Star Trek, and she was kind of a cool chick. So maybe that's not a bad thing. Anyway, but the point is that, like, if you're into the stuff that you're into and you own it, it's like you don't feel like that you somehow gotta live up to somebody's expectations or be into the things that they're in or into or whatever. You just do your own thing, and you'll feel better about yourself. And so the question becomes, how can I pursue my passions and develop myself for my own satisfaction? I mean, it is a practical consideration to think about the other person in a relationship. But at the same time, if you're not feeling good about yourself and feeling secure in who you are, then everything else is going to be clumsy and uncomfortable and probably short-lived. I mean, I don't want to like being negative Nelly or whatever, but I think there was some part of the Bible or whatever where they talk about building a house on sand. It's like now you want to build on rock, and it's a lot easier to get to the rock like you already have it inside you. It's just a situation where you have to have a firm confidence in yourself that you are enough, and you don't ask other people for approval, and you're an authentic person, and what you say goes. It's well considered, it's thoughtful, and you've arrived at that thinking by spending some time evaluating your thoughts and your feelings and the things that make you you. Okay, so number 4. How much does my income or career status really matter to women looking for a serious relationship? Okay, well, I don't know. I would say even my serious relationships have not been serious. So if I were to tell you anything about just the entertainment part that I was just talking about in the last question, it's like, if you want to, be the performing monkey or whatever that a girl has around to feel better and have a good time and whatnot, I can tell you about that stuff. When it comes time to serious relationship stuff, it's just mostly what I've picked up or what I've learned or what I see from my friends and family that have long-term relationships. In the first instance, if you're not necessarily looking for a serious relationship, I would say that first and foremost, just to be entertaining, be pleasant, kind of be presentable to the point where if a girl is out with you or whatever, her friends see her, she can kind of show you off or whatever, like that you kind of look good and that you're lighthearted and you feel good, and so you kind of give off that vibe, and then she's enjoying it too, so you're all just having a good old time, right? And so it does not matter how much money you make or what kind of status you have or what kind of stuff you have, what kind of job, all that kind of stuff. It means nothing. If you're entertaining a girl, that goes a long way. Okay, and here's the funny part. So if you want to develop yourself from having a relationship where you're, where it's a kind of a fling or whatever, but let's say you want to take it into a full-time serious relationship and whatnot, you would still need to be all those things that you were. In fact, even more so, because when you get into a relationship, you can deal with money problems, these other things, but like if she isn't having fun with you anymore, you're not pushing her buttons anymore, like it doesn't matter how much money you make or whatever. It's like, so don't get into that kind of situation. Like I said, when you do move from a newly developing relationship into a more mature relationship or even a long-term relationship, make sure you're still on top of your entertainment game. I got to think of something better to come up with instead of entertainment game. But the point still stands. Now, let's talk about the note that I made below, the inner game impact. So the inner game focuses on the intrinsic qualities like the character, the ambition, the values over the purely external markers, right? So in the beginning of a fling type relationship or whatever, I mean, that probably doesn't matter at all. I mean, like I said, except to the extent that, for instance, if you're presentable or enough that, that a girl is kind of proud of you or whatever, like I keep telling you all these crazy stories, but imagine a story if you were like walking with your girl and she was like walking out in front of you with her head up high, with her chin and nose kind of like she's super happy, like that she's the princess or whatever, and that she's walking around showing you off to the world. Like these things are possible. I'm not joking. Anyway, so think about those things. Okay, now let's think about the practical realities, because I don't know if I touched on that properly enough, but like I said, the beginning, you got to be cool and fun and presentable. When you move on to the next stage, you got to be all those things. Plus, you got to be stable, and you got to be a good provider. I mean, regardless of how much fun you are, you know, if you're living, you know, day to day and just barely getting by or whatever, that gets tiresome really quickly. So, you know, I'm hoping that all these MGTOW guys, the ones that are working on themselves and their grind and whatnot, are working on the other side of the story, so they can have the money and everything. But if they're not fun and entertaining or whatever, they can find themselves sharing that money and house and whatnot. And it kind of took a dark turn, but yeah. So so let's say that you're in a situation where you don't have the money or whatever necessarily, or you don't have the status. Or I've written here, so while acknowledging the practicalities of it, the anxiety about your status decreases. So it's not that you've got to be rich or whatever. It's just that you've got to be comfortable with who and where you are. And it's like, you know, if you can bring the money, that's great. But if you're not bringing the money, it really doesn't define who you are. And like, there's no real value in that. I mean, it's cool that you've got cash or whatever. But once again, character, ambition, and values, you know, are you, you know, rocking through the world, you know, because people in general are bored. You know, they're bored and they want somebody to make them not bored. And if you can do that, you'll be in demand. Let's see, I wrote one more thing here. So one thing that you got to think about, like some perspective on this, beyond basic stability, how much weight does status carry compared to character in forming lasting bonds? Okay, well, once again, you know, the money and the status and everything might be great, or the guy might be great or whatever, but you got to have a balance. And you got to understand what the balance is, and, you know, and keep it balanced. I mean, if you keep your money together, and if you keep your status together, and you keep your entertainment level or whatever together, things are going to go more smoothly, more likely to go smoothly. Wow, it's already been 43 minutes. I've been just really digging into these more deeply than I imagined. So I'm actually going to wrap this up tonight. So we're going to have a part 2. But let's see, I've got a couple more slides here real quick before I wrap up. Oh, yeah. So what do you think about this? You know, I've only gotten through 4 of these questions tonight, but we've talked about different ways that the inner game impact helps you with deal with these situations, or to feel better or more confident in them when you're dealing with them. A lot of the things that that people seem to have problems with or whatever, it is really interesting to see how many of them can just be sidestepped by strengthening your inner game. Once you start making just like the absolute basic, most minimal, most comfortable, like you don't even have to spend a lot of time or effort, or like I said, there's no motivation here. There's no driving yourself. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, you don't. Just let loose, you know, like, let yourself relax, you know, cut yourself some slack. Understand that, you know, that you're a growing person, and you were thrust into this world knowing literally nothing. Like you could barely even like perceive the world properly. And so as you're going through this, you're having to learn. And some of the things that you've learned maybe aren't as useful as they might have been at one point. And so it's a good time for you to just say, okay, well, just chuck those, let's push them to the side. Let's just, get to the, once again, the inherent coolness. Once you're inherently cool, like things just get way easier. Okay. So sorry I didn't get to all of the slides. But hey, I really dug into these things. And if you do have any questions or comments or suggestions or whatever, refining my ideas or seeing how they apply to your life or how they could be applied. And please leave a comment. Please feel free to come onto the live streams and share. My goal here is to form a community where you can be kind of amongst friends, people that that are trying to make themselves better, that have the idea of of forming relationships and better communication, better interaction with other humans. Pretty much everything in your life is going to get better when you feel better about yourself and you feel better about the way that you deal with other people and you see how people respond to you. Yeah, so I mean, it's so cool to think like you're just at the very beginning of this. Like I remember back when I started this journey, I was just a confused fellow. And once I started, once again, just the easiest little steps, I really was amazed at how things started to turn in my favor. And our relationships, even ones that I'd had past relationships where I hadn't felt so confident or so comfortable, those started to come around. People that I had sort of strained relationships even now are quite pleasant. And it's just been a situation where I just keep working on myself and realizing the things that I should do to further a situation, the things that I should not do. And once you understand these limits and start feeling about how you move forward through through your life, it's just going to be absolutely awesome. I cannot stress that enough. Anyway, but like I mentioned, this is a live stream, and we're going to have live streams each weeknight at around 7:30 p.m. So please make it a point to jump on the live stream and say hi. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Thanks again for hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Take it easy.